let's just dive right into this, shall we? Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're taking a look at something absolutely foundational in early education, but honestly, it's surprisingly powerful. We're talking about the CVC Word Family Challenge. You know, if you've ever watched a kid make that literal magical leap from just singing the alphabet to actually reading words on a page, well, you're in the right place. Today, we're unlocking a crucial phonetic code. Now, CVC, of course, stands for consonant, vowel, consonant. These are the absolute building blocks of early literacy. But instead of just staring at random words, the source material we're looking at today gives us a really structured, high-energy method to train a developing brain to blend these simple words. This source material actually kicks off with a really great clear directive. It says, "Welcome back, team. Today, we are going to use our ears and eyes to blend simple words." And honestly, that right there, that hits the nail on the head. That's the secret sauce of effective early learning. It literally has to be multisensory. A developing mind isn't just looking at abstract squiggles on a page, and it isn't just hearing sounds in a vacuum. True reading fluency gets wired into the brain when we actively help a learner combine what their eyes are seeing with what their ears are hearing. So this method maps those visual letters directly to their auditory sounds, basically turning phonics into this super interactive cognitive game. So what exactly is a word family? Well, it's pretty simple. They're just groups of words that share the exact same ending sound. But why does this matter so much? Because the human brain is literally a pattern recognition machine. Think about it. If a young learner has to sound out every single individual letter of every single word, reading is just going to become this exhausting, overwhelming chore. No way they stick with it. But if we can help them see that a whole group of words ends with the exact same chunk of sounds, well, suddenly reading becomes predictable. It becomes fast. They learn that ending chunk one time, and boom, a whole dictionary of vocabulary is unlocked. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to the challenge. Round 1, the at-word family. We're kicking things off with what is arguably the most famous, foundational word family in the entire English language. And it makes sense, right? It's the perfect starting line because the sounds are just incredibly crisp and distinct. By isolating that ending phonetic sound, at, this method dramatically paces out the pronunciation. You start with that short vowel sound, and the learner literally feels their mouth open. Then you bring in the consonant, t, and the tongue taps right behind the teeth. At. By visually isolating these two letters, we're anchoring the learner's brain. We're telling them, hey, whatever happens next, this at sound, it is not going to change. And here is where the magic happens. By just swapping out that very first consonant, look at the massive list of vocabulary that emerges. Bat, cat, mat, rat, sat, hat. If the learner already knows that at sound, you just help them plug a brand new letter right into the front seat. You gotta be there? B, a, t. Bat. Swap it for an M. M, a, t. Mat. This brilliantly illustrates just how much reading power a kid gains in literally a few minutes. They aren't memorizing 6 entirely different words from scratch. No. They're learning one foundational pattern and just applying 6 different starting sounds to it. It's highly efficient learning, maximizing that pattern recognition we talked about. Moving right along. Round 2, exploring ag and am. Okay, so now that the core mechanism, keeping that ending sound constant, is totally established, the phonetic repertoire expands to brand new endings. Let's look at the ag sound. Here, that short a gets caught right in the back of the throat with the hard g sound. Ag. It's so incredibly important to visually and auditorily separate this new base before we start throwing new first letters at them. It basically hits the reset button and establishes the rule for this specific round of learning. Now notice the rhythmic pacing here as the vocabulary builds up. Bag, tag, wag. That ag stays perfectly steady, almost like a drum beat. B-a-g, bag. T-a-g, tag. W-a-g, wag. When learners read these out loud, they genuinely start to feel the rhythm of the language. Sure, changing that initial consonant alters the meaning of the word entirely, but the phonetic safety net of that ag ending, that gives the learner the confidence to guess, to sound it out, and to successfully decode the word. Now, contrasting with that hard G, the am base gives us a softer, more continuous sound. The M sound literally requires bringing the lips together, right? So it makes it a highly tactile phonetic experience for a developing learner. Am. This actually engages the physical, motor aspects of speech, layering yet another sensory input onto the whole learning process. Jam, ham. This perfectly highlights how seamlessly we can build entirely new concepts just by holding that ending sound constant. You take the J sound, blend it into the isolated am base, and you get jam. Swap it for that breathy H sound, and you've got ham. The structure is just utterly predictable, and that radically lowers the cognitive load on the learner. They don't have to process the entire word from scratch every single time, which, as you can guess, significantly speeds up their reading and comprehension. All right, we are in the home stretch. Round 3, finishing with app and an. The source material continues this brilliant strategy of auditory and visual alignment with app. Again, we prime the brain by showing the two letters, stating the individual sounds, and then blending them into this new anchor. App. That p gives this really nice crisp popping sound right at the end, providing some super clear auditory feedback that yes, the word has concluded. Cap, map, tap, lap. Do you see how that insistent ending makes reading these almost effortless? Once the learner sees that app at the end of the word, their brain is automatically supplying the app sound. This frees up all their mental energy to just figure out the very first letter. It's a massive confidence booster. C, app, cap. M, app, map. With just a little bit of practice, decoding these words stops being this slow, analytical process, and it just becomes a rapid-fire reflex. Okay, the goal here is for the learner to lock the highly versatile a, n, an sound into their mind as the absolute final base for this challenge. Now, the N sound is nasal, right? It shifts the resonance up, which feels completely distinct from those tactile or popping sounds we just practiced. A, n, an. Just look at the sheer size of the vocabulary list unlocked with this one simple ending. Fan, pan, van, can, man. We bring this newfound vocabulary to a triumphant close by rapidly cycling through those beginning consonants. F, a, n, fan. P, a, n, pan. The compounding effect of this method is honestly remarkable. Think about it. By focusing on just 5 simple ending sounds, at, ag, am, app, and an, the learner has gained the ability to decode dozens of words totally independently. That right there is the true pedagogical power of understanding word families. But wait, there is a bonus round. Let's talk about the sound switch. The source refers to this next method as a sort of master technique, a way for teachers and parents to permanently map these families into a learner's brain. It goes like this. Step 1, you write a familiar word, like cat, physically on a board. Step 2, you ask a direct question. Hey, if I take away the C sound and put a B sound there instead, what word do we have? The learner is literally being asked to perform a cognitive substitution in real time. Step 3, the learner sounds out and blends the new word, bat. This creates a totally powerful cognitive shift. It proves to the developing reader that they hold the power to manipulate language. They aren't just memorizing static images anymore. They are actively engineering words. Putting cat and bat side by side provides this incredible visual contrast that proves switching the first letter is absolutely the fastest way to understand word families. I mean, the visual structure remains 66% identical. The A and the T never even move. So the learner visually registers that only one tiny element changed, which resulted in a completely different word. This directly demystifies the entire reading process. It breaks the hugely complex act of reading down into these perfectly manageable, modular little pieces. The structured patterns we've explored today, isolating the ending sounds, building the families, and using that substitution method, these are absolutely incredible tools for building early literacy. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative question to ponder. What new word family can you help a learner create using the sound switch today? Maybe it's the egg family or the ought family. The phonetic combinations are basically endless once you understand the pedagogy behind the secret. Go grab a board, pick an ending sound, and just see how quickly you can unlock reading fluency for someone else. Thanks for joining me on this explainer today, and keep on blending.